Hello.
Morning. So, what's going on?
Close of the trade.
Nice. It's official.
It's official. It is official. I have the hardware and I'm going to connect at 10 o'clock with my new boss.
Nice.
And here we go.
How do you get it? You had to go pick the stuff up, or they sent it to you?
DHL, the UPS it to the door.
Yeah. Nice.
No inconveniences there. Yeah. What is it? Back to corporate life.
Yeah. Get back on the wheel.
Back on the wheel. Back on the wheel. With this in mind, let's plan to connect at maybe 5, and if anything runs past 5, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Does that sound?
Yeah, that's good. I'm just trying to think. Let's do 5:15.
5:15 is good.
Does that work? Just because the dog usually eats right at 5, and then I have to take him for a quick walk around the block.
Absolutely. That works just fine. In fact, that's even better in case there are any meetings that bump up against 5.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The first job I worked at a university was at Cargill, which was the meat processing plant.
Yep.
And I used to be at my desk for 4:30 in the morning, and I'd work till about 3:30, and I'd be leaving, and people in the office would be like, "Oh, you're leaving so soon? What is this, banker's hours?" I go, "Yeah. Do you know any bankers who start at 4:30 in the morning?" And you'd be like, "I want to punch." Like I go, I'm already on my lunch break when you come into work.
4:30 is that sounds to me almost like a night shift.
Yeah, it was hard. I only worked there for 10 months, but I'll tell you, I used to say I learned more in 10 months working at Cargill than I did in the first 5 years working at Loblaws. Because there too, it wasn't like there was no learning curve. It was like I got hired to be on a program they called CMO, Cargill Management Orientee, which is supposed to be, I think it was either 6 months or a year of training to be a manager. And that lasted 1 week. I think it was 1 week. After the first week, they said, "Okay, we're too busy. We need you to actually do a job now." And I became the production planner for the sausage room, the ground beef room, and the offals room.
What the heck?
So a week out of school, and you're I don't know, you're basically responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory and ordering and
that's crazy, man.
So
that is crazy.
It was baptism by fire for sure. They didn't pay you well, but they gave you experience and responsibility. So it was good. It's funny. I took a course when I was there. They called it Working for Quality.
Yeah.
And it's a course that they run, and all levels of the organization go to it. There's people from the plant, and there's vice presidents. Yeah. And in the context of the course, you're all equals. But you learn the Cargill Working for Quality, I don't know, paradigm or whatever you want to call it. But to this day, I've trained everyone that's ever worked for me on it. It's the 4 axioms of quality. And I don't know, it's funny how that first job really
seems to have had a massive effect on you.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
But when I think about it now, it's that first course was kind of my first exposure to anything related to leadership training. Even though it wasn't really leadership, but it was just a way of thinking about it. How do you create quality consistently? Anyway, it was very powerful.
It sounds like it. You know what? It's interesting. The first thing you do is leadership training. This is probably a good idea. This is probably a very good
As somebody
idea.
who sells
Less,
leadership
less,
training,
less, less
I agree
so.
with you.
Yeah, well, less so about indoctrination into. I don't want to say anything bad about value, that company values
Yeah.
and whatnot, but sometimes it's just values on the paper, and you find it very difficult to see how they're being lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this leadership material is stuff, especially if it's stuck with you for all of these years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, new beginning. I'm anxious to see how the days are going to be structured and what the main like asks of the job are.
Yeah.
It'll take me a couple of weeks to figure this whole thing
Is
out.
this a new role, or you're like filling in?
No, I'm stepping into a mat leave.
Okay. Okay. So that's good.
But she's gone.
Yeah, of course.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. It's going to be picking up the pieces. There are a bunch of people reporting into this role, so that's going to be interesting to pick up with all of those folks.
That's what I mean. It's good from the standpoint that it's an existing thing that's up and running. The people that are doing the work have been doing it presumably for at least a short period of time without somebody managing them.
Yeah.
So it's good that I'm sure that you'll step in. They're going to challenge you, I'm sure, like test you for making decisions and whatnot. But you're a master, so you're.
I would like to believe that.
You'll step in just fine.
We'll see if this go around with RBC is going to be because the first one was very exciting, but it also very quickly boiled into what would you call it? More of a you have to play the political game, essentially.
Right.
That's the best way for me to describe it. And if you're not savvy at that, then quite frankly, I did not understand how after Pressima, I did not understand what politics were all about.
Yeah.
And then very quickly had to pick up what that actually means.
Well, when you say you have to play the political game, in what context? Like you have to, to what end? Like if you're,
it's
if you want to last, if you want to stick around, if you want to advance.
Yeah, it's all of those things. It's mostly because the bank really runs on. I don't want to say it's not like the army, but it has very strict hierarchy of decision making, and you need to be respectful of that. So there's no this. My door is always open. Come on in. Sure, I'll say that. I mean, people will say that, but it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
And you also have to realize that certain decisions cannot be made at a particular level. So even if you're talking to, let's say, a senior director, and you're asking them to make a certain decision, you're not going to get that far, just because there's a certain level of not contingency, approval.
Yeah,
there's a certain level of approval that needs to be followed. So that was new to me. So I want to see if this is the case, and who are the key players in this particular universe.
I imagine that's all predicated off mitigating risks.
It is. No, of course.
It's like
I mean, banks, they say that banks are slow to do everything, but that's mostly because, for example, if a bank puts out a product, you can be damn certain that all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, because there's just too much at stake.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not trying to suggest that that's not the way it should be. It's just it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Oh, sounds like you already got a handle on it. So It's good.
Somewhat, yes.
And the context for you, I mean, it's a 1-year contract, like you've said. So,
Yep.
I don't know if that changes things in terms of how you play the political game versus if you were, trying to establish yourself for a long-term kind of play. But you got to play nice at the same time, I guess. So
You do have to play nice. Absolutely. No, it's all about people. You have good people, everything's fine. You don't have such good people, you try to make them into good people, and then if you fail, then it's a problem.
Yeah. The thing I always find interesting, I've talked about this in some of my recordings, it's like when you take over a team, presumably at least a fraction of that team applied for the position you're in. So there's like this, on day one, there's this undercurrent of animosity towards you because you got the job and they didn't.
That might be the case.
I mean, they usually get over it quickly, but I had one team where it was like, I don't know, it took me quite a while to win them over, but eventually I did.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see because, in my case, then I'm technically stepping in for a year, so
yeah,
they essentially have the boss who just went on mat leave, and I'm just picking up the reins.
Yeah.
So none of them could have had that job in
not in long term, no.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. So cool. So you got a meeting with your boss, and then I guess you'll figure out after that you'll be having meetings with your team and stakeholders.
Yeah.
You're gonna be living the life of meetings again.
Living the life of meetings, yeah. And I also want to find out what's in flight, like what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And roadblocks, like all of that stuff.
What's due this week that you're gonna get yelled at about?
I don't know. I'll find out. I'm probably there's something due by the end of the day already.
Yeah, probably. You're already behind.
I'm already behind. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
It's funny when I said that. I was thinking of the opening scene of The Matrix. Are you familiar with The Matrix?
Of course.
So the opening scene, Trinity is up in the building or whatever, right? So the cops pull up at the front of the building and the agents are there, and they pull up and the cop is like, yeah, I sent my men up there. He goes, I told you to wait till we got here. He goes, yeah, whatever, we can take care of her. He goes, your men are already dead.
Yeah, that was a good movie. That was a very good movie.
There's a new one coming out, eh?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, should be good. Except it's funny because it looks like John Wick in The Matrix.
John. I always knew Neo was a Russian guy.
Yeah, exactly.
John Wick are crazy movies. Like those are.
Yeah, they were pretty. It was like, if you had a 2-hour movie, there might have been 15 or 20 minutes of action like that. And John Wick is literally 2 hours of just
action,
non-stop.
Yeah,
action.
I don't. Yeah, that's the amazing thing. I don't know how you can pull that off without just tiring the audience.
Yeah.
But they did. Good job.
Well, the third one, I mean, there's some good parts of it, but I don't know. The like most trilogies or whatever, the first one's always the best, and then the rest kind of dwindle off. But anyways,
the shame with those movies is always know who's going to win.
Yeah.
I wish life was like that.
Well, it can be. You've already won. You just don't know.
In a sense, you're right. In a sense, you are very right. Yeah, so then I'm going to be, now that my dad moved out, I'm going to be moving back up to the 3rd floor office.
Oh, yeah. This is the domino effect, right? Like you've got your house back, so.
Yeah. So that, at least in the evening, if or if anyone's home, like Misha's home, so
Yeah.
there's not too much disruption.
Yeah. Speaking of dad, so my dad was over here on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and then he left, and he said on the way home he was going to go to Swiss Chalet for dinner.
And you said no.
Well, I he knows my stance, but anyway, he went there, but he got thrown out because he didn't have his vaccination documents.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I go, well, you could have got takeout. And he's like, he was just in a bad mood, whatever. So then he asked me if I could follow up on that. So I got him to send me his health card information. I went on the website to get his vaccination receipt.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
What do you mean?
It says you type in all his information and it accepts it, and it comes up and says there's no receipt for this person. So when he got vaccinated in January and February,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm assuming I don't know yet what's happened, but like at that time there was no visibility or even concept of a vaccine, whatever policy out in the world. But the retirement home, they did all the vaccinations, and they kept the records on a spreadsheet, and they sent that spreadsheet to public health. So somewhere along the way, there's like a typo or something's happened. So then I spent half an hour on hold yesterday with public health, but then I had to hang up because I had to do some stuff. But I got to phone them again today.
Jesus Christ!
And sit on hold. When I called, I was 44th in the queue.
What?
Yeah. Or 45th, I guess, because they said there's 44 people ahead of you in the queue.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So it's just funny how, like, they've implemented these rules, yet they don't have their shit together on the documentation for everybody. So like now, like my dad cannot participate in, half of society because he is vaccinated. He's among the first people to be vaccinated. He was vaccinated in January, and then 2 weeks later, his second dose in February. Yet he can't go to Swiss Chalet and eat dinner.
Holy Christ.
So anyway, the joys of these times we're in.
And it's interesting that you can't go to a restaurant, but you're free to walk into a supermarket.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, I heard on the news, St. Lawrence Market, they've removed their on-site dining, because if they were to open up their on-site dining, then everyone entering St. Lawrence Market would have to prove vaccination status. But because they're just open for takeout and shopping, they don't need the vaccine certificate. So, which
makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised by everyone in our society not questioning what is happening. Like, why? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, the funny part is, like, they spin it around. They say, well, restaurants have been begging us to implement this system, or businesses are asking us for this. It's like, yeah, they're asking for it because you won't let them breathe. With, like, you've created this as an obstacle to them being able to reopen fully. So that's why they're for it, because they just want to be back in business. They're not actually for it. They're only for it.
I would also, I don't have any stats on this. What do I know?
Yeah.
But I would imagine that, one, if it is actually true, which I hardly believe that the restaurants are asking for it, that the only restaurants who are asking for it are the Recipe Unlimited. So the Montanas and like the big guys.
Yeah. Well, why? I don't know that they're asking for it so much as they're begging to be allowed to reopen at full.
Well, that would be a good one. I mean, a more sinister way of seeing this, and I mean, that's just my background talking. Yeah. A more sinister way of looking at this is, sure, the bigger restaurants, the chains that have the money to actually do something about this, I in fact begging for this. Why? Yeah. Because for the small guys, for the one-off shops, this is just the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about all of the stuff, not being allowed to work, all of the regulations, the diminished number of people that they could put in, the cost of the patios that they all install, like, it's not like small businesses are making money hand over fist, especially not in hospitality.
No, as soon as you limit their capacity, they're losing money.
And now
and then you add on PPE and plexiglass and
yeah, exactly, all of that
all
shit.
this other stuff.
Yeah, and remember, and this is not something that anyone's going to talk about, but remember, you also took away cash payments.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah, so off the top, you've just taken another 3 or 4% off of every dollar they earn.
And so that kind of begs the question, like,
are you enjoying the inflation?
Exactly.
When I can't believe I went grocery shopping. Usually my wife's been doing the grocery shopping, and last week or the week before I went, oh my God, I couldn't believe the prices of stuff.
Yeah.
Like even my dad's jam that he likes that I can only get at Metro.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be $2.99 a jar. Now then it went up to $3.49. Now it's $3.79.
What?
For a jar of jam.
That is crazy inflation. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's highway robbery. I think it's a combination of, we used to call it the Christmas goose, which is in the end of November, early December. We used to jack all the prices up to try and make the year. And then it started getting a week earlier. And then as soon as there's talk in the media that there's inflation,
mm-hmm.
the grocery business takes full advantage, and they go, that's the signal.
That's the signal. Let's go.
Put your pricing up immediately. And then you just go, yeah, it's inflation, guys. Like, holy. Meanwhile, they haven't even been hit by the inflation yet, and at the same time, they stiff arm the vendors and say, no, we're not accepting any price increases. We have the holiday freeze on. We can't change any prices between now and January.
Yeah, the holiday freeze for whatever reason.
Sorry, vendors, but at retail, we just jacked our prices up 20%. Anyway, those are the good old days.
Something's wrong. I don't know, man. I don't know anymore. I thought like I could figure this stuff out, but I can't.
Yeah. Well.
So what are you up to today?
I have a coaching call at 10, and my wife's actually off today, so we're going to go play 9 holes of golf at noon.
Very nice.
And then I got to drive my daughter to work after school, and then I have a coaching call at 7. So, and then after that, I have to pick my daughter up at work and bring her home. So I got a full day today.
Well, we'll see how this how my stuff changes the dynamic.
Yeah. If you're able to log in, that's hurdle number 1.
That's true. That's actually a good point.
That's usually the where most companies fail, is like your credentials aren't set up, your email isn't working, et cetera, et cetera.
No,
I'm impressed that you actually have a computer. That's like I remember so many people starting work and they didn't have a computer for like the first week.
Yeah, that is actually amazing. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah. I remember we had a guy when I worked at Wawa's at Surveyors Road, which was the meat warehouse,
mm-hmm.
frozen meat. We used to have an office above it. Anyway, they hired this guy as like a category manager of private label or something, and they didn't have a cubicle for him. Like, we were at capacity. So he sat in the lobby. Like, there was like, the lobby was like a little landing at the top of the stairs with like 4 chairs. And he sat there with his laptop literally on his lap.
No way.
And I thought he was a vendor or something. So, and I had to walk through there to go to my cubicle, and I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Good. And the next day he's there again. And the next day he's there again. And I'm like, do you work here? And he's like, yeah, I just started. I'm like, how would you like to go to work? And like, they don't have room for you. So you just sit in the lobby. That's your new office.
That is pathetic. But Loblaw also did those kinds of things. They also did. Remember when they were running out of space in the office, and they had those little desks that nothing but a laptop fit on.
Yeah, they were like 18 inches wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What's funny, when they built that building, I don't know if it's architecturally or design wise, like it was designed so that up against the windows,
Yep.
there was nothing. Everything was offset, so you could walk the whole perimeter of the building and have all these nice sight lines and blah blah blah. And the maximum capacity, I forget what the number was, 2,500 or 3,000 people. I think they ended up having 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Yep.
In that building,
Which was crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know how. I suppose it passes fire code because there was it was designed to have so much open space as part of the aesthetic of the building.
Yep.
And then they just shoehorn people in, more people and more people.
That's how it always is. Yeah. Well, and then they closed the downtown office for majority of folks, and everyone came over there.
Yeah. When they first opened that, they used to have a bus because a lot of people used to work for Zehrs in Cambridge. They had their head office in Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that they wanted to keep their job and work in the new office, they actually had a shuttle bus that would drive people from the Cambridge location to PC Circle. And then at the end of the day, we used to complain because it's like all those people had a set work day, like a 9 to 5 work day.
Yeah,
because they were on the shuttle bus. So like if they wanted to make it back to Cambridge, they had to be outside at 5 o'clock and get on the bus.
It's that's I've got nothing, man. I've got nothing to say as to how or why this is the case with the decisions that we make.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck today.
Thank you, sir.
I can't wait to hear how it goes. So tomorrow, 5:15.
5:15. I sent
an update.
Yeah, for my side.
Okay. Okay.
So that should work.
Sounds good, man.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
See you, Greg.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.